You cannot open a book without learning something. That's a quote by Confucius. Now, I jokingly always say, I read books on personal power, so you don't have to. But I realized that you may actually have a lot of fun reading. And so I thought I would dedicate this session to discussing some of my favorite books that I bought and read along this journey. Now, some of you may know that in my living room I keep my books stacked on color, but obviously that would give a very different way of going through this video. So I took them from downstairs, like they were in the books shelf, but I will just reorder them based on topic, and then go through a couple of books, not all of them, relax, a couple of books which I thought, if you're gonna read something, start here, or just find books yourself that are related to this topic. You might really enjoy it. So I'll go in fast mode after here, and I'll be back in a few seconds. So I basically regrouped them. Before we went to Nepal, we started to read books on Nepal, and these are the Lonely Planet books on Nepal. Another book on Nepal, Inside Guide. And these are books that I read afterwards. It's a hotel at the top of the world, a Burmese phrase book, if you want to learn the language. Later on, Burmese folktale, The Adventure of the Nepalese Frog, which is a very nice book that I tell a little bit more about, but it's about a frog who experiences life in the rice paddy and wants to venture and have an intention. Lots of books that I found in the bookstore in Kathmandu about Buddhism and Hinduism and all the different goddesses. I guess I'll find Lakshmi over here somewhere as well. They're even at. Yes, this is Lakshmi, the goddess of good fortune, and they're all alphabetically registered in here. I'm not sure if they're all registered, but because I'm not that good of an expert, so I wouldn't be able to tell. So in the beginning, I was into a crisis. So this little booklet, it's a comic book on Sigmund, the relation therapist, and he has all kinds of silly jokes. Do you live alone? Yes, I do. I don't even talk to myself. Sorry, but it's a bit of absurd, humorous thing, and makes things a little bit more relative. When I was in this period of my life and thinking about what kind of partner I would, how would my future life look like, I came across this book. It's called The Secret, and it basically says that everything everything is available in the universe. There's abundance of everything, and the only thing is that you have to attract it. Now that for me that felt way out of my comfort zone and my life experience. But there were so many people in the beginning of this book, and it goes on and on and on. Actually, it's upside down. people who all say that they attest to these principles, that I say, well, there must be something. There must be something in it that's the truth. So I started reading, and I said, well, why not give it a try? So one evening, when I was with friends, I expressed in the way that it is prescribed in this book how do you express your wishes so that they can come true. And it's basically repeating a wish, exhaling, and then say, and this is the way it is. I really believe that it is that way, and it eventually is supposed to come that way. I also said that I would like to have 3 million, and not long thereafter, I did receive an email that stated that I was about to inherit $3 million. I didn't go into that email, but I did find the resemblance quite odd. So there's also a working book to go with that, and it's basically all the concepts that are in there that help you prepare stepwise to apply those things. Then I was about to say, okay, so if I just have this law of universe working for me, there must be things that I will have to do and have to do differently. And one of the things that I was very curious about is what has changed. I had been married for 18 years. How has the dating scene developed? There was a time then that online dating sites became in vogue. That wasn't quite my thing, but I thought, okay, what is there to read about it? So I came across this little book. It's called Master Flirt, Tijn van Ewijk, and it's a very short book. Basically, it's tips on demand if you're trying to get to know people, want to meet people, and it's actually got. If people ask what is this book about, there are even words what you can say just to make a laugh. The nicest thing about this one is don't take life too seriously. See it like a sort of a sandbox, and make it fun, make it playful. And if somebody asks about what kind of work do you do, there's all sorts of answers that you can make it more playful and cheerful. Then later on television, I saw a documentary on a journalist who had gone undercover, and in the undercover world, he was known as Styles, and he came undercover and he wrote this book under the name of Neil Strauss, which I believe is also not his real name. It's a very controversial thing. This is the Dutch version called Het Spel, but it's actually The Game, or maybe it's translated The Hunt, but it's about the seduction process. And this book is about the whole world of seduction. It's unbelievable, it's mind-blowing, it's despicable, it's intriguing. I read it, I read another time, I took notes. I changed the way I looked, I changed the way I sported, I became more active. So, a fun book, quite thick too. During my journey, I also came about a lot of books on Buddhism, really inspiring wisdom, all kinds of little books about the life of Buddha. This is actually a folktale, but also Hinduism, Buddhism in Nepal. It's all intertwined. This is about the boy Krishna, about his young life. What the Buddha actually taught, principles, Buddhistic inspirations, and you can see lots of drawings and very inspiring. To me it's very quieting, and therefore that way very inspiring to read. Buddhism in daily life, how you can apply those concepts in daily life. It's not a religion, it's more like a way of living, and I would say caring for others. The concept that to me is a bit far out is that you have to be detached. And in order to be enlightened, you might have to be detached. But for me, being attached is also a way of life. But if you want to have your life in order, it sometimes helps to be more detached and not jump into every emotion. One thing that's really impressive is His Holiness Dalai Lama, and this book, Increase the Love. It's full of stepwise meditations on how to increase compassion within yourself, between you and others, and even in the world. And the most impressive thing is about a meditation about your mother, and then because of reincarnation, everyone could have been your mother, and if you meet a stranger, he or she could have been your mother, and you feel that connection. And even an enemy might have been your mother in a previous life. So that way it's like connectedness, all one, and lots of very impressive prospects. Seeing Who You Really Are, another book of Dalai Lama. I'm not doing it all due justice, but because of the video I don't want it to be too long. Then I realized it's also about mindset. You know, T. Harv Eker, The Millionaire Mind, is it's very interesting. I read this in 2009. It has a lot of exercises about passive income, your financial blueprint, how do you think about wealth, how do you think about money. But it's also about the law of attraction. So he applies and combines those things. A different way of looking at your life and at wealth. It's basically saying, if you think that wealth is being happy, that's good, that's cool. Be happy. If you think wealth has to do with having lots of money, work on it. Accept the money that is coming your way. So it's interesting books. I hope you enjoyed the review of the list so far, and I'm looking forward to join you again in the next session when I start with the book of Anthony Robbins. So remember, I read books on personal power, so you don't have to, but I'm gladly share them with you so you can have your own joyful experience of growth from reading books.